The Shark Deck.
I want you to hear me out on something. I'll do it after the late night jokes. But let me start here. From study.com. What are the 3 characteristics of comedy? 1, its use of language, which ranges from vernacular speech to puns and wordplay. 2, its use of taboo subjects. 3, its use of incongruence and juxtaposition. I think that's really good. Keep that in mind as I dive in here, but let's start with late nights. Jimmy Fallon jokes, the FBI spent 13 hours searching President Biden's house in Wilmington. They found more classified documents. You know what? At this point, just let us know when you stop finding them. You know what I'm saying? As if the documents weren't crazy enough, they also found the script for the last season of Stranger Things. The Justice Department also took handwritten notes from when Biden was vice president. One was a piece of paper addressed to Obama that said, "Do you like me? Check yes or no." Like that. Fallon again. It's crazy. First Trump, now Biden. Today, just to be safe, Obama burned his house down. Fallon writers back on track after a little bit of a slump here. More Fallon. It's interesting how Biden and Trump have handled their situations differently. Biden has new documents found every week, while Trump went for the Netflix-style binge-all-at-once release. Wanda Sykes hosting The Daily Show. Come on. The man's been in public for 238 years. I bet most of the stuff he has isn't even classified anymore. You read his notes and it's like, keep an eye on this Hitler guy. I like that. That's good. Corden, most of them were Post-it notes that say, remember, return classified documents. That's pretty good. Colbert, how could America be $31 trillion in debt? And apparently no one in the executive branch has ever purchased a shredder. Wanda Sykes again. At this point, the FBI is just decluttering Biden's house for him. I saw some clips of Wanda Sykes hosting The Daily Show. She is better than I thought she would be fitting for that show. Wanda's a fantastic comedian. I enjoy her comedy. I enjoy her acting. I just didn't think her style would work for The Daily Show. I could say that of lots of comedians. Larry the Cable Guy would be terrible at The Daily Show. The other thing is, and I keep coming back to Comedy Central looking for viewers under 34 years old, and even the younger half of that. Wanda Sykes is 58. I wonder why they keep trying out people who have like zero chance of getting the show. I don't know. Jimmy Fallon has had John Lovitz playing George Santos. I saw a clip of that, and it seemed like the audience didn't get it, or maybe Lovitz didn't nail it, or maybe we associate John Lovitz with playing pathological liar Tommy Flanagan back on SNL, which was a fantastic character. So I don't know. That's not clicking. Bowen Yang definitely has the better George Santos right now. George Santos himself commented. He tweeted, I've now been enshrined in late-night TV history with all these impersonations, but they're all terrible so far. John Lovitz is supposed to be one of the greatest comedians of all time, and that was embarrassing for him, not me. The comedians need to step their game up. All right. Okay. Remember at the beginning, I changed my tone of voice, and I told you, comedy. Characteristics include use of language, ranging from vernacular speech to puns and wordplay. 2, use of taboo subjects, and that's what we're going to talk about here. And 3, use of incongruence and juxtaposition. We're also going to talk about that here. What's got your bees in a bonnet, Johnny Mac? One of the regulars on the Facebook group, Daily Comedies Podcast Group, she's DR, and she tagged me with an article. And the article, Jim Breuer jokes about Damar Hamlin's collapse. That's the Buffalo Bills player that almost died on the field about 2-3 weeks ago. Jim Breuer jokes about Damar Hamlin's collapse at Christian event, and she tagged me on it and said, hey, you're friends with Jim Breuer? And I said I would address this on the show, and that's where we are here now. Right? So your immediate reaction is, wow, joking about Damar Hamlin, what an a-hole, Jim Breuer's the worst. Hear me out. As DR pointed out, Jim Breuer and I are friends. We are friends, and I thought about it this morning. We are friends, but I haven't spoken to Jim in... It's probably at least 5 years, and it might be 8 years. When I ran the Raw Dog channel at SiriusXM, Jim did the afternoon show for quite a few years. I've been to Jim's house. Jim has driven me home from events. We have traveled together. We have stayed in the same suite in Aspen together. I would describe Jim as a family man. At that time, his father was quite ill. Since then, his wife has been quite ill. Jim will put family first over anything and everything, including his own career. Every time, all the time. Family man. He was always spiritual. He seems to have gotten more religious since I used to hang out with him regularly. And friends don't always agree. For example, when Jim was younger, sometimes would smoke the reefer. Me, clean living. Doesn't mean we weren't friends. Friends don't always agree. So I don't come here to say like, yeah, Damar Hamlin, great joke, bro. Yeah, keep doing that. It's not what I'm saying here. But I'm going to break it apart and analyze it from a standpoint of comedy, which is why I've changed my tone of voice here. And I've twice now read to you that breakdown of the things that create comedy. So here's the story. NFL world is disgusted by comedian's joke. Prominent comedian Jim Breuer, a former SNL cast member, is getting crushed for the joke he told about Buffalo Bills defensive back Damar Hamlin. Jim has been on the Reawaken America tour, which has been described as an event for conservative Christians. Jim was doing a routine about flu vaccines. I've seen clips of this routine in the last few months, maybe the last year. I haven't seen Jim perform this in person. But from what I can gather of the bit, Jim doesn't believe in the vaccines and thinks people have gotten a little crazy with the vaccines. So he's doing his routine. He's joking about people who are vaccinated against the flu. He jokes about people who are vaccinated for COVID. He throws out some conspiracy theories. And then he changes the subject and says, meanwhile, in the NFL, and Jim falls to the ground. Some of the reactions. One fan wrote, I watched all 20 hours of this event except Jim Breuer. The cringe is suffocating. All right, well, that's not a Jim Breuer critique, but fun to read. Another said, oh, it wasn't even funny. Goat Boy was never funny either. Another reaction, the most brutal portion of this, the cuts to the crowd filled with people whose adult children won't talk to them anymore. So I have thought about this. Here's where I land. Personally, I had the flu vaccine. Personally, I'm whatever we're up to now. Triple vax, quadruple vaxxed. I don't know. I like the vaccines. I believe in medicine. But if I look at this from a standpoint of comedy, if I accept that Jim is doing a routine about vaccinations, and then the transition, meanwhile in the NFL, and he does a pratfall. Structurally, that's a good bit. Would I do the bit? No. Am I walking around making Damar Hamlin jokes? Was I watching Monday Night Football when it happened? Oh, yeah. And I was up to like 1 a.m. worrying about the guy, and I even checked my phone at like 3:30 in the morning when I had my nightly insomnia. Definitely stressed out. I don't think someone almost dying on the field in an NFL game is at all funny. But analyzing it as a bit, if you accept the premise, common characteristics of comedy include use of language, use of taboo subjects, check, and use of incongruence and juxtaposition, check. Is it the kind of joke you want to make? Is it the kind of joke you want to see? I don't know. Me? No and no. My friends with Jim? Yeah. Have I talked to him in 5 years? No. Dane Cook was streaming Warzone 2, playing some video games online, but the headline, Stream Snipers Ruin It Immediately. Dane, probably unaware of how the streaming world operates, quickly fell victim to stream snipers. So there's Dane. He's sitting on the couch playing the video game. One up-to-no-good player decided to lock Dane Cook in a chain of flashbangs. So what this is he's playing one of those first-person shooting games, and you're running around, you're shooting the video game soldiers. And apparently people are throwing video game flash grenades, which makes your screen go super bright. Dane Cook had to endure 8 full-on eye-straining bursts of white light before the player ran out of flash grenades. Many players of Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 have voiced concerns that the flashbang tactical equipment needs to be adjusted or changed. They find the effect aggressively bright. We hear Dane Cook say, wow, this is crazy. Never seen anything like it. And I watched the clip. You would think it's Dane Cook in that Dane Cook way going, wow, this is crazy. Never seen anything like it. But he's actually just playing a video game and he goes, wow, this is crazy. Never seen anything like it. Are you still there? Was it canceled? Brett Goldstein is on The Late Show tonight. Colin Quinn is on Late Night with Seth Meyers. The Laugh Button says Sony Pictures is shopping around a new half-hour talk show series hosted by Craig Ferguson. I worked with him twice. Really, really funny guy. Really charming in person. This would be called Channel Surf. They shot a pilot in the UK, and it's being looked at by different networks and platforms. The show is set to feature Craig Ferguson and friends as they review the shocking, surprising, and hilarious moments of this week's shows. Craig said, I wanted to do Channel Surf because I think TV is ready for the return of the silly, funny, occasional lip-syncing puppet format. Also, it's a TV show which contains clips of questionable moments from other TV shows, thus creating a spectacular visual turducken of stupid. New comedy tour, the Straight Jokes No Chaser comedy tour, hosted by Mike Epps, features Cedric the Entertainer, Earthquake, D.L. Hughley, and DC Young Fly. That is a good lineup. The tour starts March 4th in Indianapolis, ends May 27th in Vegas. That's a strong lineup. 7 Days Vermont caught up with River Butcher. River has a special on YouTube. It's called A Different Kind of Dude, which introduces viewers to the new River Butcher. You may remember River used to go as Ray Butcher and was married to Cameron Esposito at one point. River Butcher, during the pandemic, began a gender transition. He says to Cheers and Applause, I've been taking testosterone for about a year, and honestly, sometimes I feel like history's slowest werewolf. Just a hair every now and then. That's good. River says, I like storytelling. I respect it, but I'm not a storytelling comic. I enjoy a straight setup, punchline, 10-second joke. I like a good tag. That's why I try to keep it in my storytelling. There are jokes with it in. It's usually just a larger piece that contains more jokes because I like to keep people's attention. It makes my job more fun to tell more jokes. Breuer did point out, though, with the recent evolution of TikTok becoming what's breaking people in the industry, they're taking a look at who's telling a story in a 15-second fix. Breuer says, to me, it's renewed the idea of getting the joke out. How quickly can you tell the joke to somebody? It's like flipping through a feed, maybe even reading your joke. It's created a whole new consciousness of joke telling. And that is your comedy news for today. We'd love to hear from you on social media. Hopefully you heard for where I was coming from on the Breuer situation there. And follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. And the social media links are in the show notes. All right, here's the pitch. 5 stories. They're all good news. It's called 5 Good News Stories. No negative news, just good news. Nice, easy way to start your day. Hopefully a smile. Hi, I'm Johnny Mack, host of 5 Good News Stories. You get the premise? There's 5 stories, and they're all good news. It's the number 5 Good News Stories. 5 Good News Stories. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.